The stock market has been a ticking time bomb for a very long time, and we say it's a ticking time bomb because look at these yields have been going up, and what has the market been doing? It's been ignoring all this, and as these yields get up to these ranges up here, we start to get under a lot of pressure, and we have the dollar that is just skyrocketing up at this point, just no high in sight here, no top in sight for the dollar, and this was all going up while the stock market was going up, and this insider selling here is now being seen in today's price action. But we have some stuff to get into today as we go over some technical analysis and we get into the VIX, because we may be getting a signal for a bounce tomorrow, and we always on this channel want to be trading like water, and that means we are open to the perspective of both sides and the fact that we could go up, we could go down at any time, and we just play those probabilities. So trading like water will be very good. Make yourself adaptable, and let's get into some technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Nvidia, AMD, and Meta going forward. The SPY has officially done the thing that it hasn't done since 2013. We've never seen two closing bars below this 20-day moving average until today. We finally get a confirmation bar wiping out what is this? Almost a whole, month's worth of price action here in just a couple of weeks. So this big downward bar, now we're closing below the 50 and things like that, but we're going to get into a lot going forward, and make sure to stick around for the end when we go over the VIX, because there's something showing on the VIX right here that could lead to some kind of bounce. Maybe if you were part of the Patreon, you've already seen it, but going forward, I just wanted to point out a 30-minute first. Let's start on the shorter time frames and look at this stuff. But as of right now, I just wanted to point out these daily ranges. The daily ranges, you notice we started to break that by the end of the day, but 510.07 to the upside for tomorrow and 498.95 to the downside. Cool thing about these ranges, right? They're right around that weekly expected move. So if we do see downside, good probability of a bounce in this area. So it would make a lot of sense to bounce down in this area. And remember, this is all the options market has priced in for tomorrow. And we just moved outside of that a little bit today. So we could land back in it, right? You land in it more than you're out of it. So if we do see a move out of it, good probability for a bounce there, 68% chance. Now the 30-minute here, there's not a lot going on except for you're not even that oversold yet, and you can stay oversold for a long time. So if this is going to continue and we are going to see this keep going, well, we could look for some kind of support around this area. And if we're going to get some kind of bounce in the morning, this is what I wanted to talk about for the SPY. I really wanted to talk about some kind of bounce. If we bounce up to this area, we can use it as resistance. Maybe that gets us a little curl up here near positive territory. Then we see that curl back down, continuing this negative trend that we are in right now. We are in a 30-minute negative trend now on the daily side, still okay, but the sell signals are turning on. The bearish signals are coming on, so we're going to need some buying back up to get this. Now, the thing I want to go over with the VIX at the end of this video is something that is kind of leading me to believe we might see a gap up tomorrow. Now, we'll go over that with the VIX, but I just wanted to talk about if we did get a gap up. Yes, we could get that gap down, and obviously we could escalate, okay? But I wanted to talk about if this was a mistake. I want you to pay attention where this daily expected move is. It's right at the previous low. So if this is some kind of mistake and the market wants to get manipulated again, we could actually see a gap up to this level and see some buying up, and that's going to make a lot more sense when we go over the VIX. But because this is a huge downward move, we have to pay attention to if it's actually going to be that crash scenario. So therefore, if we gap down below, we can use that as resistance to head lower. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that, but you do have a 68% chance for a bounce here. So we have to look at structure. We're going to be paying attention to a lot of this stuff during our live show in the morning. And as I pull up the Qs, I'm going to give you those ranges first, okay? I'm going to give you those ranges, 436.47 to the upside, and you have 425.51 to the downside outside of the monthly or the weekly expected move, and just at that monthly. Remember what we said before this week started. A touch of this monthly would make a lot of sense right here, because you would be testing that 20-week moving average, and then you'd see some buying back up from there possibly, right? That would be a great pullback. So I'm just telling you to be open still. I know this is a dramatic sell-off. It can get people very excited, but I just want you to be one of the people that are saying, hey, I'm going to still play the price action. I'm not going to get pulled in one direction or the other. If this one is working for me, okay, great. Am I seeing signals the other way against my trade? Then I might want to scale down and take some profit in there. That's all I'm getting at here, but this area down here would be great for the Qs to get to, but we're going to talk about that bounce going forward. Just remember that this is all the options market has priced in for tomorrow, and the SPY actually has, I think, a little bit bigger range. So that's something to pay attention to. Another thing on the daily, I just want to show you this. We're really spreading out these Bollingers now. We made a direction, right? We said we need to close below this level. We picked our direction. Is that some kind of mistake and we'll buy back up? We'll see. But as of right now, you got to say, this looks like it is about to fall off a cliff. If we just zoom out and you look at that bar compared to everything else, oh my gosh, it looks like it's going to drop like a rock, right? It just looks like it's going to drop. So be very cautious with your trades. Apple has been going to this sell-off zone over and over, right? And we were pointing this out recently, and guess what? It sells off one more time. So this zone up here proving to be pretty strong resistance at this point. So I'd pay attention to that. But the main thing I'm watching with Apple is going to be this crossing of the MACD on the 2-hour. If that happens, it looks like we could take out this low, and I'll be paying attention to the bottom side weekly expected move. So it is not a good look for Apple going forward. It looks very bad, but the important part here is to keep trading like water. Make sure to pay attention to any kind of upward signals that you are seeing on the shorter time frames, because we could get some kind of bounce. Now, do I think that's going to lead to a full recovery? No, I think we could get some kind of lower high at that point. That's what I would be leaning towards. But if this is an overreaction, they manipulate it higher, we wouldn't be surprised. But as things get more volatile, you might need a course for this. So I want you guys to go down on the link in the description if you're looking to learn about this stuff. Join that course down below. And always, you can go down in the links below to get that Patreon. And that course, you can keep it forever, take it over and over, get good at this stuff, and even get a bear market strategy for when volatility is higher. Very, very good. But if I was looking at Apple, I'd see if that's able to cross early tomorrow. We could lead to some kind of gap down here. Now, Tesla going forward, this is one that's a little different. This is at the weekly expected move. This is all that is expected from the options market this entire week. I just wanted to point that out and let you guys know, even though you're not a part of the Patreon, I want you to look out for you. And this structure here looking a little bit, but we're coming into an area where we could get a bounce. I just wanted to point that out for Tesla. But as it is rolling deeper and deeper into negative territory, looking at the daily side, it doesn't look pretty, right? That does not look pretty. It looks like we may want to keep seeing this selling. It looks like the daily wants to go into a negative trend at this point. And if that happens, it's already in one, first of all, right? It's already in a negative trend. But if it rolls over on this MACD, we can see much lower prices. We might not even get 154.78 to hold up, but that's what I'm paying attention to right now for Tesla, that 154.78. Amazon finally saw a little bit of selling. The funny part about Amazon, it's right at its 20 on the daily. It's really not even. But the thing about tomorrow, if this selling continues, we'd be confirming a big signal up here. So Amazon at these levels, good point to take a position, because the probabilities are starting to say, hey, this is going to pull back. And this is most likely going to pull back to 166 before we actually see that buyback up. So I just pay attention to that on Amazon. If we're going to see some kind of upward move, well, the 2-hour is right at the center line. Right, the 2-hour is right at the center line, and that just tells me, hey, this is the point where it could turn back around. So even though we are seeing, this really sell off, we're seeing the market sell off, people are maybe freaking out a little bit. Hey, just pay attention, because if this just curls back up into positive territory, because you're trading like water, that it could go up from here. Nvidia looking forward, hey, this thing curling over, but not making a new low. So very interesting. The stock market, the SPY and the Qs making some lows. Nvidia not really doing that at this point, but where could Nvidia go to? Well, that's where the weekly expected moves come in. So we could see another, 20-point move down or something like that. We could actually beat this low and get some kind of divergence down here. That would be telling that we're going to see some kind of bounce. Remember, we're trading like water. We're always open to the next scenario. And I'm flipping through these quickly because baby girl had to go to the hospital for a moment. So I'm trying to get done with this very, very quickly. But hopefully you guys appreciate the information and give me some likes on this to give me some good vibes right now. 2-hour divergence on AMD showing up here. You got a divergence here again, not necessarily just kind of flat, a little bit down on the MACD, so no divergence there, but RSI has it right around here. So you have 2-hour divergences, and then you have a 30-minute divergence across the way here that looks like it's about to confirm. So if this is some kind of mistake, maybe AMD actually catches a bid. This is a very important level, and you're right at it. You're pretty much right below it. So if this was a mistake, they need to buy this thing back up. And that's going to make sense when we get to the VIX, guys. So stick around. You just have a little bit longer till we talk about the VIX. Meta, this one looking forward, hey, just dropping down, looks like a negative trend at this point, doesn't it? Right? Low, we get a bounce, we get towards the center line just above it, we cross down, we go negative, and boom. And thank you for subscribing, Caitlin. I swear that's not me clicking that. Thank you for subscribing, Caitlin. Always appreciate it. But down here, just looking for this to build back up. Now, the thing about this bounce, why I'm kind of saying this might not be a full recovery, it might be some retests or something like that. is just because the 30-minute is so far away from the center line. It would take a lot to buy this back up. So if we're going to buy back up, you can see Meta, it would most likely want to gap like above 505 tomorrow. I think it wants to gap up to this level and go, because if that starts a gap and we fade, or Qs and Spire hitting their daily expected move and not gapping above it to use it as support to go higher, we could really see some downward pressure in these stocks, even if they get some kind of dead cat bounce. All right, guys, and volatility, I'm going to keep it brief, but right now the 30-minute is what I wanted you guys to pay attention to. We posted this to Patreon, okay? We posted this to Patreon. If the VIX comes down like this, there could be some buying pressure for the SPY. That could be people taking some calls in this area. You do have a 30-minute divergence on the volatility here. So if this is wrong, if this whole move down is wrong, I'm expecting the VIX to cross over and start a negative trend, and we'll actually see a kind of a different reaction going forward. The 2-hour here, bunch of divergences. You have triple divergence on the RSI, right? Not on the MACD really at the same time, right? You just have the single divergence, but this one kind of violating that, but you do have it on the RSI right now. So if we see a bounce in the market, the volatility can drop significantly, and we actually could see stocks start to head up. And I wanted you to be very aware of that going into tomorrow. Now, if we're going to see this escalate, right? This is a big bar. We're up 11%, right? I think on Friday we were up over 10%. So that means tomorrow has an 85% chance of an up day. And today is saying that as well. Tomorrow has an 85% chance of being an up day, and so does the next day. But don't read into that too much. If we're in crash territory, then the volatility, usually you don't see that retest or anything. It just starts going. Okay, so I would pay attention to that going forward. Just be very careful as volatility starts to scale up.